The god of war readies his mighty truncheon, sheathes his long sword within its jeweled scabbard, and hoists aloft his spiked iron shield, while somewhere in the distance his enemies cower in fear. This is Klazart, and this time I'm commentating on the Ever OSL quarterfinals, round of 8. This is the matchup between Julyzerg and TheRock. It's being played on Andromeda, which is an interesting map to say the least, and is a matchup that I'm really excited about and looking forward to. From my intro, you guys should have a glimpse of what Julyzerg is all about and what he's capable of. We've seen some great StarCraft from him in recent weeks, some effortless StarCraft, and at the same time, evocatively beautiful StarCraft, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he's going to produce versus Rock. His Zerg versus Protoss at times can be brilliant and at times can let him down. We've seen July mop up Bisu when Bisu was wiping the floor with all other Zergs in the game. He's got an old school style of play. He's not afraid of going for a 2-hatchery build, and really the key to July's play lies in his ability to surprise his opponents, and it'll be interesting if he can do that to TheRock today. TheRock, on the other hand, is one of those Protoss players that just has never even come close to making it to the big time. He's been in loads of competitions, professional StarCraft competitions, Pro League, MSL, OSL, but he never really progresses past the first couple of rounds. So this is definitely something, a new height for him in terms of getting to the round of 8. Although I'm not sure if he's made to the round of 8 before. He certainly hasn't done so frequently. July looks like he's gone for a spawning pool first. So July going for a spawning pool looks like he's going to try and execute some kind of rush. He's also taken his extractor there, and it'll be interesting to see what's... Okay, he's cancelled the extractor, so he's just using the extractor to get an extra drone. I think he went for a 9 pool there, so hopefully he's not committing himself too much to this rush, because TheRock has got his gateway up with his pylon. This is one of the interesting maps. I do feel that rush strategies from Zerg players are more viable on 4-player maps almost than 2-player maps, because on a 2-player map, you're likely to get scouted straight off the bat if your opponent has any skills whatsoever. Meanwhile, TheRock is taking his assimilator, and therefore they'll be able to put a stop to your rush. It's really hard to catch your opponent by surprise. Whereas in a 4-player map, while there is the element of risk that if your opponent is cross-map and you don't scout him, you're going to be in huge trouble and not really going to be able to do too much damage. On the other hand, if you do manage to get a scout on your opponent early enough and your opponent doesn't know where you're coming from, and you have the close base position, you can inflict serious damage on him. So July looks like he's in prime position to try and inflict some damage upon TheRock here, try and hurt his economy so much. Meanwhile, he's taking his expansion, his natural expo, just outside of his main. TheRock, starting up another pylon, looks like he's starting up his cybernetics core as well. So it'll be interesting to see whether he puts out any zealots or whether he's going to get caught off guard by Julyzerg. July has got a group, so TheRock has produced a zealot. He's going to produce a zealot, and that zealot looks like it's going to be blocking his ramp. July, meanwhile, is forced to split his Zerglings because he doesn't know exactly where Rock's base is. He has scouted the 11 o'clock base. He's sure Rock isn't there, and just again for clarity purposes, Julyzerg is playing Zerg in teal at the 1 o'clock position, and TheRock is at the 5 o'clock position. Though there is that zealot on the ramp, but I don't think it's going to be able to block the Zerglings, and July is able to get up that rank. Rock pulls that zealot back. It'll be interesting whether he's produced a second zealot, or and TheRock almost precognizantly has produced a second zealot. He did have that cybernetics core building, and I thought he might have waited for a Dragoon, but he's produced a second zealot. Meanwhile, his Stargate is going up. I'm not sure how much damage July is going to be able to do against those 2 zealots. He's managed to pick off one of the probes. It'll be interesting whether Rock now produces a 3rd zealot, or whether he produces a Dragoon to usher out the rest of July's remaining Zerglings. July has pulled his other 3 Zerglings back as well. We're seeing some great micro for him. He's managed to pick off one of the probes. He's trying to keep Rock busy with his Zerglings. TheRock now finally microing his probes away. He didn't really micro the first time when July attacked, and TheRock keeping his zealots, not getting lured away, keeping them around the nexus. Another pylon going down, blocking July's Zerglings from having too much maneuverability. And you've got to say that TheRock is going to take the early advantage here. He's going to have a Stargate up. July looks like he's actually taken his min-only expo as well as his natural expo. TheRock has got his probe, and July just trying to take that pylon down, trying to buy himself some time, taking the pylon to the Stargate, but he's not going to be able to because the Dragoon is now out for TheRock, and meanwhile TheRock's probe is in July's base, and July might be in a little bit of trouble here. He's obviously being forced to put that hard list down because he's seen TheRock's Stargate. It'll be interesting to see if TheRock can convert this tech lead into a decisive advantage. You would have to give him the advantage because July did commit himself to that attack with the 6 Zerglings. He hasn't really harassed his opponent too much, hasn't really upset his opponent's build order too much, while TheRock has continued on to produce his tech. The only hope for July might be that he has got those 3 hatches down, and if he can survive the initial attack from TheRock, he might be in a position to benefit economically. And the fact that even though he did go for the 9 hatch, if he can, for the 9 pool, if he can last long enough in the game, he will neutralize that by virtue of the fact that he's taken his min-only expansion sword in the game. July still has that 1 Zergling wandering around Rock's base. Rock looks like he's trying to push forward with his ground units to provide support for the Corsair. The Corsair is in July's base now, hammering away at the Overlord. the Hydralisk Den is up for July. He's got a Hydralisk out, so that's going to usher that Corsair away. TheRock insistent trying to take that Overlord down, and now TheRock coming in with 3 Zealots and a Dragoon. July is in a little bit of trouble here because he's only got a handful of Zerglings, and okay, he's got more Zerglings coming out now, so July waiting for a couple more Zerglings. So that Sunken is going to go down, but he should be okay. He should just about be okay. I think TheRock managed to kill one of his Overlords. He's continuing to attack the other Overlord. July now blocking his ramp with his 2 Hydralisks and his Zerglings. TheRock microing his Zealots quite well, has killed off most of July's Zerglings, and July in trouble here because TheRock is continuing to pump out more Zealots. Another 2 Zealots arrive to supplement TheRock's forces. July's only got about 4 Zerglings and a single Hydralisk to TheRock's 3 Zealots. Meanwhile, the Corsair continues to pound on July's Overlords. July's unable to focus on the Corsair because he's been forced to fight the ground battle once his Sunken went down. So great attack by Rock. He's doing significant damage to July's forces here. July with some great Hydralisk micro, trying to keep that Hydralisk alive, trying to take that Corsair down, and now he's trying to use the drones to block off the Zealot from his Hydralisk. He's not really able to do this. He's going to bring out the 2 Zerglings to finish that second Zealot off. Another Zealot pops out for TheRock, but July's lost his last Hydralisk. He's got 4 Zerglings in there. If he loses this Overlord, it's going to really hurt him as well, and it looks like July is going to lose this Overlord as well. So TheRock inflicting serious damage on July. I think he's killed 2 to 3 Overlords, at least 2, maybe 3, and now he's hammering away at the 4th one that's just popped out for July. TheRock, meanwhile, continued to pump out the Zealots. He hasn't really advanced his economy much, but he has done significant harassment damage to July's. July is building more Hydralisks, I'm sure, to take out that Corsair, but it looks like he's going to lose yet another Overlord. Luckily for July, another Overlord pops out. So July coping well with this rush, but you've got to say Rock has really inflicted some serious damage, seizing the opportunity that his opponent presented him and July concealing those Hydralisks behind the Overlords for just long enough so that TheRock couldn't scurry his Corsair away. So TheRock now decided to take his min-only Expo. He's got his Citadel of Adbun building, he's got his Forge spinning as well, and you have to say that TheRock has a slight advantage in this game. He's definitely in a strong position compared to July. July really had to focus on pouring everything into that defense, wasn't really able to get his economy going. The Julyzerg now taking to Lair. I'm just going to take this opportunity just to apologize for my rusty commentary in the previous game. I know I said Lurkers a couple of times when I meant Ultralisk, and I said Flash when I meant Luxury, but nevertheless, it is a great game of StarCraft between Flash and Luxury that you guys should definitely check out. I definitely enjoyed watching it, but I won't be spoiling for you guys, so definitely check it out. Great game of StarCraft if you haven't seen it yet. July putting up another Sunken, and it'll be interesting to see what July is going to be able to do now, because he hasn't really been able to slow down his opponent's tech, and TheRock is in prime position to do some harassment, and is really able to rev up his building tree now. He's putting down another 3 or 4 gateways, and pretty soon he's going to be overwhelming July with ground units. He's got his min-only expansion up and running as well as a decent defense at his base, and really July would have been hoping for a timing attack with Hydralisks and Zerglings and perhaps Lurkers to try and break through that defense of TheRock, but he's not going to be able to do that. He's going to be forced into a slightly longer game plan here. He does have that second gas now. He's now taking